Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Today we're going to change a belt on a Bosch Neff Siemens tumble dryer. This is a Bosch tumble dryer and the belt has snapped, which I'll show you in a minute. This video can also be used to gain access to the motor, the capacitor if the drum is not turning but the belt is intact and you're hearing a humming noise. This is a possible fault with the capacitor. It can also be used for the heating element if you have a problem with the heating system and you need to check or replace the heating system. And it can also be used for the two forward jockey wheels and the two fan blades, which distribute the air around the machine. In the previous video that I made, I had a video on Bosch water container light flashing and a problem with the pump system. This video shows you how to maintain the tumble dryer and do some servicing on it to make the tumble dryer more efficient. This will save you in excess of £70 a year, because if the machine takes longer to dry the clothes, therefore you're using more energy. And as I said in the previous video, you will be saving over a kilowatt of energy every cycle. This means that you would be saving 260 kilowatts a year if you were doing 5 loads per week. This will save you over £70 in money, so it's well worth watching this video as well. Okay, I've undone the 2 screws at the back of the machine. Once you've got the lid loose, just give it a tap, knock it back, and the lid will come off. Now, the first thing I can see on the machine, and I'll zoom in for you here, as you can see, the belt should be sitting on this wear mark that you can see here, and the drum is turning freely, but there's no belt there. So this means the belt has gone. Now, if the belt is intact and your drum is not turning, and you hear a humming noise, then this could be a problem with the motor or the capacitor. This video will also help you with that. Okay, the first thing you need to do is unplug the appliance from the electricity, and we're going to remove the 2 side panels and also the back, and we'll need to remove the bearing case as well. Now, a lot of people have done this video from the front, and I would not do it this way. I would always go through the back because you get better access. So first things first, I'll fast forward this as I do the screws. There are different types of screws on these tumble dryers, and I'll put a link to explain the 2 types at the top. We have 2 screws at the front. Two screws on either side. We now need to remove the facial panel, remove the water container. 3 plastic screws inside. 1 screw at the side of the panel. The panel can come away. Rest it there. 3 screws, 1, 2, 3 on each side. One additional screw at the top. Okay, now we're going to take the 2 panels off and this back plate, but the back plate I'm going to do last. So the screws at the bottom are plastic, then they go to steel as they go up. At the top, 2 screws. Now the panels can come away. Small flat blade screwdriver and just prise the panel away, making sure not to damage the 3 plastic lugs on each side. The panel will come away and that will give you access. Here you can see the belt, and the belt has snapped. Again, flat blade screwdriver, just prise backwards, and you can see the 3 plastic lugs here. Then the panel will come away. This now gives you full access to this compartment. We have the capacitor, we have the motor, and we have the fan blade area. The reason why we have to take the drum out is this cover needs to come off to get the belt over the actual motor and the 2 propellers. So we'll take the back of the machine off now, and this will also give us access to the heater. So now we're going to take away the heating cover. The screws from here downwards are all plastic. Normally you will need a screwdriver to prise this away, as there is a seal on here that sticks to the chassis. Okay, we've just unclipped this wire, and this mains cable needs to come off. So you need to unclip the wiring. Always take a photograph when you take the wiring off. It is marked on the filter on this one, live and neutral. Once this is off, this can slide up, and then you can thread the mains cable through. The reason we had to undo that is there's a clip at the back here that won't come out unless the actual cable is taken out. Okay, this is the heater block, and we need to undo this clip. Just press it inwards and push it in. Then there is a tab at the top which you need to press. That will slide up, and that will allow us to take the wiring out. Now we can unplug the heater wire. That's the heater block, and this one is the NTC sensor. Unclip it from down here. This is the catch, by the way. This panel would not slide that direction unless the cable was out of the way. Okay, this is the NTC sensor, this is the thermostat, and there are 3 wires going into the heating element. Because there's 3 wires going into the heating element, this means it's got a low and a high side. So there's 2 elements in this box, but you can go to the website and find all different videos on heating elements. This seal, peel it out like that, then slide it backwards, and it will all come away. Now you can thread the wiring down and get this out of the way. Now we can take the heater box off. Okay, to remove the heater, we need to take this guard off. Two screws. Now there are 2 screws underneath here. And then just slide the heater back. There's a catch at the top and a little bit of fluff in there, which I'll hoover out. Make sure you put that safely, as it is fragile. This now gives us access to the bearing cover. Just use a small screwdriver and pull off the circlip, and there is a washer as well. Put them both safe. Now the panel is ready to come away. Before we slide this panel back, we want to remove the 2 pipes from the soap box. So the black one is the feed going up. There's another one at the bottom. Now normally you would undo this screw at the top, but I've already spotted that this was broken at some point previously. Now we can undo the 2 covers, but first we want to unclip these pipes and take them out of the way. Now before we undo these 2 screws, we've got the wiring harness that runs from the motor all the way to the top. So these just need to be pressed in and push them up. Press in, push them up, and then this will slide away. We can now undo the 2 screws while supporting the panel. And you can see the fluff build up on this motor. Slide this back, lift the panel up, that can be taken away. You'll also notice inside here you want to get the vacuum cleaner and clean up all this fluff that has built up over the years on this dryer. You also want to get your vacuum cleaner and get rid of all this fluff which is building up on every blade. Now we can also clean this up as well, and you might want to put a little bit of grease on there when you reassemble it. We can lift the drum up and slide it backwards. Now the reason why the drum had to come completely out is this cover is difficult to get off with this jockey wheel in place. There are 2 support jockey wheels here, and we just need to undo this one. Okay, just use your hand torque screwdriver. This just undoes from the plastic. It's got a bush on there, or spacer, and we can put that to one side. And now you've got clips. These clips come backwards, and there's also some clips that have got to be pressed on the other side. Then the cover can come away. If this was in place, it would be difficult for it to come out. And now, before we start putting the belt on, we're going to give this a good vacuum. Make sure we get rid of all this fluff that's built around the machine everywhere. Now I'll tell you what is good for getting into the small nooks and crannies on these tumble dryers is a product that we sell, and it's quite cheap. It's only a few pound. Is a macro toolkit, and this comes with a load of attachments, and you get some very small brushes which allow you to get into these places which are hard to get into. And all you do is attach that to your vacuum cleaner. You may need an extension piece, and then you can put a small brush in, and this will allow you to get right up into the corners. Okay, I've cleaned up this machine. Not only have I hoovered out everything to make it as efficient as possible, I have also used some detergent on both of the fan blades, front and back, to get them as clean as possible, because if they're a sticky surface, the fluff will build up quicker. So it's worth spending the time to do the hot side. This fan blade at the back blows the air over the heating element and into the machine to evaporate the water off the clothes. Then it comes through the evaporator or condensing plate inside this box, and then the air is either blown or drawn through the box to condense it efficiently. So the better the airflow, the quicker the clothes will dry. Next, we have a sensor at the front here. 2 metal strips. This tells the program when it's on auto dry how moist or wet the clothes are. Now when you're using lint filters, all types of different fabric and everything else, these bars can build up with a film. So just a simple little scourer, just go over these bars and clean them up. Because if they get the reading correctly, therefore it knows earlier when the clothes are dry. Therefore it turns off the electricity much earlier than if it had a film over it where it was getting a false reading and maybe drying when the clothes are already dry. And this can also save you a lot of money on electricity. Also watch the other video. It's time-stamped, so you don't need to watch the whole strip down or anything else, on how to maintain the pump unit and the condensing plate inside here. Now we need to fit the belt. Okay, to insert the belt, first you need to understand what belt you need. Now, written on the belts are a number. Now, believe it or not, I didn't have a new belt in stock, but because I recycle all parts off machines to save the environment and also make some money selling the old parts off machines, the belt is dependent on the model and the size of the drum. So you will need to use your full model number to be able to identify the correct belt for the machine. Also, on your old belt will be some numbers. Now, this belt is a 1995 belt and it's a 7ph. This means that it's got 7 grooves in the belt, and it's also 1 meter 995 millimeters long. So to insert the belt, we just need to put the belt over the wheel, or the fan blade, sorry, then turn it at an angle flat. Bring that up, then you can rotate it over onto the shaft. Turn the belt the correct way round, undo the spring which attaches to the motor for the moment, and the belt sits like this, and then the tension of the spring pulls this up to the drum. It's very important to get this the right way round, because a lot of people fit belts and they say, oh, it's too long. This is because they haven't fitted it over the pulley wheel. Now, it's very important to understand that these pulley wheels are in good condition. If the pulley wheel is worn and the bearings collapsed or noisy, or it's one with a phosphorus bronze bearing, sometimes the actual bearing can wear and you will end up with a sideways movement on the pulley wheel. Now, if you have a sideways movement, therefore it's not sitting correctly, therefore it can damage the belt. Also, I think this machine had a snap belt because someone had overloaded the machine and it was spinning on the shaft. If the motor is running, the drum is not turning and the belt is spinning on the shaft, it will cut through the belt as it did on the old belt. So we'll just rest this over for the moment. Now we'll fit the cover and the pulley wheel. Okay, as I said, the cover has 4 tabs on one side, 3 tabs on the other, and to fit it is straightforward. Just drop it down, line them all up, then lock it into position. Now we can actually fit the pulley or support wheel, and that just goes into there. Do it up by hand. Just hand tight and a little nip. Okay, now we're ready to insert the drum. Just to note, by the way, the capacitors here, if you have a tumble dryer that is not turning but the belt is intact and you're getting a humming noise, it is possible that the capacitor has basically not got the power it used to have and is not able to energize the motor for it to start. That can also be a problem. Also, it is possible the motor could be damaged and you may need to replace the motor if this is occurring, but that's in other videos. So we're now going to fit the drum and we're going to fit it over the belt. Okay, we'll just lift the drum up, place it on the top, and then I'm going to ease the belt over. Make sure it's not twisted. And now bring the drum forward while moving the belt. And then slide it forward until it drops down and make sure it goes over the 2 support wheels. And that is now in place, and I'm going to line the belt up and we will tension the belt in a minute. So I'm just going to rest that over and I'll do a close-up of this for you. Okay, you can see the belt is going over the drum, over the pulley wheel, and when we actually put the spring on, this is what will tension the whole system up. The first thing I'm going to do is to put this plate back on, and you'll see there's a little hook here and that locates in there. So we're going to put 2 screws in, one through the front panel to support it so we don't damage it, and then we'll put the other one in. Okay, I've cleaned this plate up and it's ready to go on, and I'm going to put a couple of extra screws in which I will take out after. You'll notice there's a couple of location lugs on the side here. Make sure the panel goes in correctly. You'll see the plate here and it sits here. So we're going to line up the drum now onto the bearing shaft and drop that in, and we'll put the washer or the circlip on straight away in a minute. So I'm just putting this screw in quickly now because I want a couple of screws to support it. This one I will take out after again. I'm going to lock this top one in place, and this is where I took the cable out because this needs to lock in, and I'm also going to put a screw in here just to support the whole frame. I've put a little grease on the shaft and put the washer on, then push it up, and then just push the circlip down so it locks in place. Now we're ready to reassemble all the wiring, and the first thing we need to do is this wiring harness on this side. Lock that in, then slide it down, and it will lock into place with the two tabs. That's all done. Now we're going to put the water box into location, and I'm going to glue this in a minute off camera, and that just sits in there like that. We need to fit the overflow and make sure that this is clipped in the correct location. Then we've got our feed pipe, and we need to put this in the correct location. You will see the marks on the pipe where it came off. So just squeeze that in, squeeze that in. Take it over the top and make sure you push this pipe fully on. Now at this point I'm going to insert this side panel, and remember you've got to get it over this lug, so it will need to go in at a 45-degree angle. And I'm actually putting this in to give it some strength in the cabinet before we start reassembling. Making sure this panel goes on correctly, and then we can slide this panel back making sure that you didn't do any damage to those lugs. Then we'll do up some screws. Remember, plastic screws at the bottom, steel after this one. Now we can put the screw in at the front, and if you want to, you could also put the one in at the bottom. Okay, next we're going to put the bearing cover on. That just lines up. Pop the two screws in. Cleaned up the heater, and now we can reinsert that, and then carefully put the wiring up inside, and then we can connect that all to the plate. Two screws at the bottom. Now we can fit the cover. There's two location lugs at the bottom. So we just need to insert this seal, make sure it slides in correctly, and then push it all the way round. We can put the back cover on. I've removed the two screws that were there for support, and just put the cover on, remembering that the screws that you use are plastic at the bottom, and metal further up. I'm now going to do the electrics up. Take this up into location, then slide it down till the tab locks in place. As I said, the mains cable is what keeps this tab in, so we'll just slot that in, then slide that down, and that panel now is locked in place. Connect up the wiring, consult your photographs. I'll just put the light here for you so we can actually see. Now the spring hooks onto the chassis at the bottom. The belt is lined up perfectly. It is over the pulley wheel. Take up the tension, push it down, and then put the spring on. Then we'll take this away and we can rotate the drum, do a couple of rotations just to make sure everything is lined up perfectly. Okay, that screw is okay to stay in, but we need to undo this screw, as we only did that to support the whole chassis while we put the machine together. This now can go on, and make sure you line up these pins, and that slots in. Now we can put the screws on the back. Right, I've done the screws, 2 plastic at the bottom, steel all the way around. Don't forget to put the one in at the top here. Okay, last thing we need to do is just drop in our forward support bar, and it goes underneath here, it goes over the top here and onto those 2 brackets, and we'll just put the screws in for that. Make sure that the water box is located correctly. I've glued the damage that was done on the back, and that slots in, then locates and clips in at the top. We have 3 screws in here, and don't forget the 1 screw on the side. Make sure you do the 2 screws at the bottom and the 2 on the side. Put the lid on the machine, slide it forward, do the 2 screws on the back, and there we go, ready to test the machine. I've already put some clothes in, turn the machine on, set it to iron dry, that'll do me, press start, and there you go, the machine is now fully serviced, had a new belt. In the previous video we did the condenser plate and how to service the pump. And because this machine now has been fully serviced, fully cleaned properly, this means that you will be saving over £70 a year in energy. And as I explained at the beginning of the video, 1 kilowatt in saving per load at 5 kilowatts a week equates to 260 kilowatts. And taking the average kilowatt charge in the United Kingdom at the moment, which is 30 pence, this equates to £78 a year. A huge saving on your household bills. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do watch the other video. I also have a couple of other videos on the Bosch tumble dryers on how to repair circuit boards and other problems with the machine. Thank you very much indeed for watching this video, and if we really helped, you can click on the donate button to buy Paul a beer. Thanks very much indeed for watching, and remember, all the spares that you need for your Bosch, Neff and Siemens tumble dryers are available at the website. Link in the description below. Thanks again for watching.